This is a demonstration of the TRMS 702 web user interface for viewing and printing. It's designed for end users. If you'll see on the left side of the screen, the image is a simple representation of the TRMS process. Below that is a brief history of SEA. Below that is the contact information. So if there are any support issues, your TRMS administrator can contact the SEA support. In order to sign on to the web UI, you would enter your username and your password. Also, on the top right-hand side, there's a settings icon with a drop-down that will display the different languages that are in effect, as well as the current release of the software that you're actually going to be running. If you are running, if you do have a put in a support call, this is one of the first things you'll be asked. But to be able to sign on, you give it your user ID, you give it your password, and you click on the login. At which point you'll be presented what we call a filter screen, and where you can specify all the different criteria that you might use to select reports that have been accumulated by TRMS. And certainly the most common is the report ID. That is an 8-character field, and in this situation, I'm using wildcards. I'm saying, okay, I'm going to use it, say is like. If I wanted to specify an exact report ID, I would specify is, and then I would just put in the full report ID. But if I just wanted to use a wildcard, I could say is like, and as I say, I can use wildcard characters, which would be the ending %sign, and if there was a placeholder wildcard, you would use an underscore. On the right-hand side, you can it's a drop-down for the different catalogs. A catalog is something where you can set up separate databases. For example, you might have a production system or a test system, or you might have a database set up specifically for certain application reports. If you are defined to that database, you'll certainly have no problem getting to there. At which point you can specify report ID or a combination of other information. For most common is you might want the date. Your date could be relative to today, or you can get an absolute date range. You also might set an archive status, whereas the archive status might say, okay, if it's immediately available for viewing, or has it been migrated to some secondary storage. So you might want to say, if I just want to see active reports or archived reports, or I want to see them both. So give me active and archived reports. In this situation, I'm looking for reports that begin with the letters IN. And then I would click that. And at which point I will be presented with a number of reports that follow that criteria. You'll notice at the bottom of the page, since it fills more than one screen, I can scroll through this list of reports, and you can use these navigation first, previous, next, last, go to the last page. And these are all different reports. If you wanted to hover over one of these icons, it will give you a preview of that report. You can also, you'll have different icons telling you the characteristics of this particular report. This particular report has been defined so that we will index on certain fields in the report. So if you wanted to look at this particular report, we'll click on it. And you'll notice that when I say index, on the left side are all of these fields that we have defined to the product so that we're going to be sensitive to those. So if you want, this is just an aid to navigation. If you wanted to scroll to a certain one, you can also use, there are the icons below where you can navigate, go to the next page, go to particular, next or last. The index here can be used, as I say, as an aid to navigating through the report. You can turn it off if you want, and it just shows you the report. You'll notice that each page as you're going to next. Sometimes people want to see more data on the page, so you might turn off the page breaks, at which point you have a button up here that says all. It says, okay, show me all of the pages. And it'll basically take out the page breaks, and you can just scroll through the entire report sequentially as if it was all just one page. For every time you open it up, you'll get a different tab here on the top. So you can see the report. This is, indexed with page breaks, and this is without the page breaks. At which point you can also print or save this report. You have a choice where you can save this report as text, or you can save this as a PDF. You can also do a print preview if you want to. See, this is what.